What's up, guys? Universal Mastery. So what I talk about on my channel is the occult sciences, and what we're going to be talking about today is the most powerful technique for astral projection. Stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to astral projection is I want to go into, what most people think about astral projection. Okay, so let's take a moment to think about what most people think astral projection is like. People think that astral projection is the individual pretty much getting into a lucid state of mind to the point where they leave their physical body and now they are in their astral body and they are now traveling in a different plane. They are now traveling in the astral plane. And in the astral plane, essentially you can learn new things, and essentially you can do things that you normally couldn't do with just your physical body. At least on a level where in the astral plane the veil is more thin. Let's just put it that way, because the amount of possibilities that we have here on Earth are endless. So I'm not going to say that what is possible in the astral plane is possible in the physical plane. It's just going to take a lot more work and a lot more understanding. But that's what most people think when it comes to the astral plane. Now, my understanding of the astral plane would align very similarly to that gnosis. It is very true. When you slide and when you slip out of your body and then you enter the astral, then you are now in a completely different realm. Okay, you are now in a completely different plane of existence. And I also want to say something. I want to say something that's pretty important here, because this was something that I didn't know too much about until I started studying, the occult the way that I do. And there's a big difference between astral projection and there is a big difference between lucid dreaming. Now, this is the thing. I think a lot of people, okay, so I want to say this. So there's a big difference between astral projection and lucid dreaming, but there's also some similarities. But this is what I want to say. They are different. Okay, lucid dreaming is not the same as astral projection. I think most people, when they say astral projection, that they're actually thinking about lucid dreaming. Because let me explain what lucid dreaming is just very shortly, because I'm going to make a whole video on that, because that's important too. Lucid dreaming is when you're pretty much, it's like when you're asleep, and then as you're sleeping, you're having a dream, and then in your dream you completely wake up and you're like in full control of your dream. That would be lucid dreaming. Astral projection is similar but very different. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about astral projection and how you can use it in the occult. So astral projection is one of the most important things that you can learn how to do. And basically what it does is it strengthens your imagination. Okay, it strengthens your ability to literally become a mover of magic. So essentially what astral projection is you imagining something that is in your physical reality. And you're imagining something that, most likely is physical. Doesn't have to be physical, but you're imagining something on Earth happening a certain way. And in the astral plane, as you're imagining, because when you're imagining, you're now projecting into that astral plane. And the clearer and more defined your imagination is, those images, those imagination, mage, these are all key words here. As you're imagining that and it gets more crystal clear and it gets more sharp, you're improving your abilities of your psychic senses and your magic, essentially. So there could be certain situations that you're in your physical, in your day-to-day life, where you're imagining something, but you're also, this is the thing about it, to astral project, you have to be aware that what you're doing when you're imagining something on the physical, you have to be aware that you actually can and actually are going to cause an actual effect here on Earth. Okay, you have to be aware that what you're using and what you're tapping into is an actual science, because it is. This is the science of the mind. So when you're using, that ability to imagine something and you're starting to form it in the astral plane, you're actually causing an energetic, you could almost say egregor type of frequency that's forming itself to follow the commands of your imagination. So the more that you practice imagining things that are actually that can and will eventually actually happen in the physical, the more you're going to strengthen your ability to become an avid astral, someone that avidly astral projects. Now I'm going to give you a simple example, because I know this can lose a lot of people. They don't understand what I'm talking about. So I'm going to give you a simple example of how I've used astral projection and how I've almost got instant results and how it continues to get better. So one way that I've used astral projection, I've used it in a defensive type of way. So I've used astral projection to defend myself, to fight off people that I don't want to have in my life, and it works very good for me. And I don't have to have physical confrontation with them. Naturally at heart, I'm very warrior driven. I'm a warrior by nature, meaning when I have a problem with somebody and they confront me, I'm down to get down, right? But that's not always how I want to be handling things. And with the energy that I carry around me, most people, as I continue to improve myself, as I continue to grow, most people like me. Most people like being around me. Most people think I'm a very cool person to be around. But there's also times where, as I continue to grow, that I give off a sense of arrogance. I give off a sense of I follow my own plan. I listen to no one. And there does tend to be some people that do not like that, because they're dealing with their own inner shit, and they just want to be in control of you. And when they come across me, they can't control me. So the only way that they can feel good about themselves is they have to find a way to try and one-up me. So when it comes to someone else trying to, let's say, one-up me or control me, I take action. Not necessarily always in the physical. Yes, I will stand my ground. Yes, I will. I have no problem confronting somebody and telling them, hey, look, don't try and do what you're doing. I see what you're doing. I do not appreciate that. You trust me. You do not want to cross this line with me. You don't know who I am. So if I do all that and it doesn't work out, then I start to go into the astral. So as I go into the astral, I'm going to imagine this person. And this is my way of doing it. This doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be your way, but you can use this to your own benefit. You can use this technique that I'm sharing with you in your own way, and you will get results. So as I start to go into the astral plane, I start to project an image of, typically, I use my higher self. Now I use my higher self. Back then when I would do it, because I work with demons, because I work with angels, because I work with spirits, I would project spirits, like different demons, specifically when it comes to something like, fucking with somebody in the astral plane. I would use a demon, because demons are great for that, and also angels can be great for that too. But I would use demons when I first started this. But now I use my higher self. So I project my higher self, and you guys have no idea what that looks like to me. It's my own image of how my higher self looks, and I'm gonna keep it that way. So, I would project my higher self pretty much standing around that person, and I have a specific weapon on my higher self, and actually I have it tattooed on my arm right here. It's a sword. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I have a specific weapon, and I pretty much attack the person, like literally straight up just start attacking them from my higher self. So what I'm doing is I'm entering the astral plane, and I'm projecting my astral double there, and I'm stabbing their physical body. And what tends to happen is I'm also attacking their astral double. And a lot of the times, most of the majority of people in the society we live in today, they have very weak astral doubles, because people aren't that open-minded. People aren't that spiritual. They don't know about their astral double. They don't know about their higher self. They don't know about any of these things. They don't know that their ancestors are trying to help them. They don't know that they have all this stuff. So there's a massive level of ignorance out there. So, I'm pretty much attacking this person. I'm attacking their physical body, and I'm attacking their astral double, which is lowering their barriers of protection on a spiritual level. It's lowering their barriers of protection on a spiritual level, and it's causing them physical and psychological damage. So immediately, like when that's happening, there probably is going, like, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be immediately. It depends on, this comes down to the practitioner. It depends on how good you are at this. It depends on how much energy you're putting into your own projection onto that person. But for me, now at the point that I'm at, if I was to do this to somebody, it's almost instantly where that person starts feeling my attack. They start feeling it. So that means psychologically, they can tell that I'm in their mind, and they can tell that I'm pretty much attacking them. They can sense it, and there's really nothing they can do, because it's on a spiritual level that they can't see with their eyes. So they're getting all these psychological thoughts that are making them actually, and with repetition, making them afraid of me, because I'm pretty much lowering their defense mechanisms, and I'm overpowering them. And then the next thing they are going out in their day-to-day life. I'm still in their mind. I'm still, lowering their defenses on a psychological level. And then they're going on their day-to-day life. And the next thing because their astral double is lowered, because I've attacked that, they're more prone to get in car accidents. They're more prone to get in certain altercations. They're more prone to get into arguments with people that they never got into arguments with before. They're more prone to lose a job. They're more prone to just lose their temper. They're more prone to, many things. So now this video isn't, on how to curse people. I'll make a different video for that. But I'm just saying that you can use astral projection, and I have used astral projection in that way. Remember, guys, I'm a black magician. Okay, I consider myself to be a wizard, a dark wizard, which means that from my ancestorship going way back, I come from a lineage of very dark magic, and I've learned all these things through all the past life studies that I've done with my own self, and I've done my own meditations, and I've gone back. And it's so crazy, because when you really start to figure out your own roots, you start to gain so much power, and you start to awaken genetic codes in yourself. And I did these past life meditations. I did these past life studies, right? And I never knew my roots before I did this. And next thing you know, I figure out some crazy shit. Like, people will ask me, like, Jeremiah, like, how are you a black magician? Like how do you know you're a dark magician? Like, how do you know you're not just a magician, or you're not a white magician? And my response has always been like, I trust myself, and I trust my intuition. Like, I am naturally gravitated towards the dark side, and I have to I can't just stop there within my own mind. I can't just stop and say, okay, I'm just naturally gravitated towards the dark side. That's all. That's all I can really reply to you on that subject about. But I had to dive in for myself, and I had to ask myself, why am I attracted to the dark side a little bit more? And you know, with the studies that I've done and the research that I've dove into and the applications that I've put myself in, I've realized that light comes from darkness. Darkness is literally the core foundation of everything. Like, we are all essentially dark magicians. Some people gravitate more towards a light side, like a light aesthetic and a light projection, but we all came from that darkness. We all came from a black fucking void, and science is starting to prove this shit too. But especially like when it comes to my lineage, not everyone is as tuned into darkness as I may be, right? So there's people, you know, even if we did all come from darkness, let's say, there's people that once again gravitate more towards light, and that's important because that's balance. You know, there's going to be people that gravitate more towards darkness, and there's going to be people that gravitate more towards light. But I'm not seeing it just as I'm dark and I stay away from light. That's not how I see it. I work with angels. I work with demons. I have my angel deck right there. It's not that I just wear dark clothes all the time. I don't just wear stuff aesthetically that's dark. I am totally about, you know, I'm totally about balance. Balance is the key, okay? You want to balance these things. But once again, when it comes to, you know, when it comes to embracing darkness, I totally do that. Okay, I will completely embrace my own darkness. And you know, I had to be honest with myself. I do naturally gravitate towards the darker side of things. And you know, next thing you know, I'm going out through my day-to-day life, and I come across a lady, and I'm buying something. I was at a GNC, and she realized, she said, "Do you have a membership with us?" And she searched my name and everything. And I told her my last name, and she's like, "Oh, she's like, we have the same last name." I'm like, "Oh, that's so funny." And my last name's Schwartz. And then it was crazy because she asked me, she said, "Do you know what your last name means?" And I literally don't. I never searched what my last name meant. This was right around the time when I started to figure out the origins of it. My last name's German, and my dad's side of the family is like Russian, and that, you know, that type of ethnicity. And then my mom's side is like Polish and Irish and Scandinavian. So it's like, you know, I'm very Scandinavian. I'm a mixed. Sorry guys, my video cut off for a second because the battery just died. But as I was saying, so I'm buying this thing. She searched up my name, and then she started to tell me my last name, and what it meant, because we had the same last name, and I never knew about it before. And she said that it means black. Like, if you look up Schwartz, the meaning of Schwartz means black. And that made a lot of sense to me. I was like, oh, that's very interesting. So obviously my last name has been with me and my family for a long time. So there obviously is some dark connections that go to my lineage. So that was the reason why I gravitated with that darker side my entire life, because it's in my DNA, it's in my blood, it's in my heritage. But yeah, so once again, when it comes to the astral projection, that is essentially what it is. And these are, you know, I'm not, once again, this video wasn't meant to be like, you know, a video based around cursing somebody or causing somebody harm. This is like stuff that you can use for self-defense, stuff that you can use to help you, you know, get to where you need to get in life without, you know, ignorant people trying to stop you and ignorant people trying to control you. Okay, and once again, that was just a form that you can use astral projection for. There's many different forms, like many. So I'm going to give you some other examples. Like, when you start to advance spiritually, and when you start to work with different spirits, when you start to, you know, try and uncover your higher self, when you start getting into that level where you're starting to actually do rituals, when you're starting to actually practice magic, then you're going to experience a lot more astral things, meaning you're going to find yourself in your day-to-day life. You may be going through something very like mundane, right, to the average person. Like, you know, you're at your mundane job that you've always been going to. It's always been the same. But next thing you know, you do this ritual. Then let's say the next day after you do this ritual, you're at your job and you find yourself in your same environment that you're usually used to, but you're in a completely different state of mind, and you're realizing that you're actually tapping into something that is not just here. Meaning you're starting to see images of yourself in a different plane, doing things that are very important for you to level up on your spiritual path. But in reality, you're just like at your job, like always. But you're actually tapping into something much bigger and much greater. It's like a form of travel. It's a form of, what's the word? It's a form of, you can accomplish things. You can literally accomplish things on the astral plane. You can set things up and overcome obstacles on the astral plane that connects straight back to your physical life. Just like when I use that technique to astrally project and attack somebody that's trying to control me, and it's affecting their physical body, it's the same thing. When you astral project with your higher self, with your astral, your astral double, essentially, that's connected straight back to you. So when you're in the astral plane, you're slaying dragons, and you're finding dragons that are willing to be companions with you. When you're building relationships with other spirits in the astral plane, when you're destroying your enemies in the astral plane, these are all things that are coming back to you, right? So there's a lot of importance to the astral plane, and you will, this is the more advanced side, and you will start to understand that once you start practicing. This is stuff that comes from actually doing rituals, creating your own rituals to experience astral projection, to experience, to enhance your abilities to astral project. You can create your own rituals to do this. But yeah, once again, I'm going to give you guys one of the examples that I used when I astral projected to attack somebody, and how quickly it manifested. So this is actually when I first started getting into this stuff. I started to play with my imagination. I started to astral project on that sense, and once again, I was using different spirits rather than my higher self at the time. And there was somebody that just kept giving me a hard time, and they kept trying to tell me to be this light, smiley person, when in reality I was like that's not authentic. Like, you're not being honest, you're not being real. And they just kept trying to project it on me, and I was just like, I just had enough. Like, I was just like, no. And I totally just sent that person some fucking dark energy, and I even projected, and I was just like, I was just screaming at that person, like, astrally attacking them. And next thing you know, the next day, it was after that day that I projected on them. The next day, they didn't show up to school, because I was going to school at the time, personal training school. They didn't show up to school, and I was wondering, I didn't really think too much about it, but I was wondering, like, where were they? You know what I mean? What happened to this? Why are they not here? That's very unlikely that person would be late and not show up. And then they ended up showing up late, and she comes in the room. It was a girl. She comes in the room, and she's like, I just got hit by a car. And she used to drive a motorcycle, and she said that she said she got hit by a car. Like, a car literally came behind her, hit her, and it caused her some damage. Not to the point where she was in a wheelchair, not to the point where she needed surgery or anything in that nature, but it shook her, like, big time. Like, you can imagine you're riding a motorcycle and a car comes and rear ends you, bad. That's bad. So, it scared the shit out of her, and she never treated me the same way again. Never treated me the same way again. Never tried to project her white light mentality on me again. Never tried to put me into that mental prison again. Never tried to control me with that false light paradigm again. Never. She did not try to do that again. And immediately when she said, I got rear-ended by that car, something in me told me, that was, you caused that. Like, I caused that to happen. So yeah, so that's one way that you can astral project. And now, as I was saying, that was like around one of the first times I did that. I've done this many times, I've done this many times since, and I've used my astral projection abilities to do many other things. Once again, you can use it to heal people. You can use it to, learn things that you can use it to, like, see from a different perspective. Like literally you can use astral projection to go places that you aren't physically in, but actually see what's physically going on because you're astrally traveling to that place. Okay, this is some advanced stuff, but you can actually do that as you start to increase your abilities. And once again, how do you increase your abilities with astral projection? You start doing work. You start invocating spirits, specific spirits that you feel drawn to, most likely your guides, or specific spirits that specialize in astral projection, and you start invocating them and you start asking them questions. How can I improve my abilities to astral project? If you get gnosis, then follow that gnosis. If you don't, then create your own ritual where you're pretty much honoring that spirit that specializes in astral projection, or your, one of your guides, and pretty much write out like, I'm honoring you, fill in the blank of the spirit, and then you say, you write the ends, which are, the chants to that spirit to empower that and to show it, honor. And then you write out like, I'm asking to improve, my astral projection abilities. I want to enhance my astral projection abilities. I want to enhance my lifestyle. You can literally fill in many different things there, but try and definitely gear it towards astral projection if that's your intention. And then go ahead and make your own ritual. Make it all neat. Set up some good aesthetics, like some candles, whatever you feel that's gonna raise the energy. Set up some candles. Get a color that's correlated to you when it comes to astral projection. When I think astral projection, I think of like a purple, maybe like a purple color, maybe like a dark red or something. Set all this stuff up and then perform that ritual. And then next thing you know, if you were successful in your ritual, you're gonna have many experiences where you find yourself actually astrally projecting, and the more that you do it, the better that you become at it. So that is literally the best technique that I can share with you about astral projection. And I also feel like I broke down astral projection in a pretty defined way so that you guys have a full understanding of what it really is. Okay, so other than that, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. So make sure you like and subscribe. Definitely, if you like this video, hit the notification bell because I'm posting videos as often as I can. And if you have any questions, up to 3 questions that you want me to answer through video, you can Venmo me. My Venmo is going to be at the top of the description, and then you can just Venmo me $5, and then you can send me the questions that you have, up to 3 questions, and I will respond to those questions through my phone, so through video message, as best as I can to help answer the questions in depth. Okay, then you can go down to the link below that and you're going to see my merch. This is a Hecate sigil. So if you want to get your own shirt that has a Hecate sigil on it, great quality, they will ship it right to your house. Then go check that out. It's going to be on Streamlabs. Then go to the link below that, and that's going to take you to my Facebook community. So Facebook community is going to be some exclusive content. It's going to be things in the nature of posting pictures and quotes and getting powerful people to all come together and be like-minded. And yeah, so if that's something that you want to be a part of, if you're a good fit, then I'll add you in. So just go ahead and click that link and go there. And my Patreon is coming soon. I'm not going to go too crazy into the Patreon, but it is coming soon, and it's going to have very exclusive content on the level of, I'm going to break things down on a very, very, very in-depth level so that you are going to get for sure results. And it's going to be through video format, and weekly there will be an exclusive advanced video on my Patreons. But that's coming, so I'll share that with you guys once it's actually in the form. Right now it's not, but I'm creating it in the astral plane. But other than that, I'm going to catch you guys on the next video. Hope you have a great rest of the day or night wherever you're at, and peace.